Alright, if you're following chess media lately, you know that Vladimir Kramnik is doing a lot of researches and accusing some players of cheating based on the statistic. But have you seen the game when Kramnik on over-the-board classical chess managed to beat Kasparov with 3 brilliant moves and Kasparov found it suspicious? Let's check out the game. This game was played in 1996 in Dos Hermanos, Spain. Let me know in the comments if you know this place from other sources of media. As white plays world champion Garry Kasparov, I don't really think he needs any introduction from me. And as black, another Russian grandmaster Vladimir Kramnik, which managed to beat Kasparov in world championship match. The game started with d4, d5. Soon we got Slav defense, f3, e6, e3, knight e7, which is already Meran variation, it just transposed it, but semi-Meran, I would say, because Meran variation is a little bit different. b5, bishop d3, bishop b7, short castle a6. I don't want to go over the details too much of the opening theory, but I'll just mention a couple of things. For those who are looking for more or less solid approach against d4 as black, I highly recommend to check out Semi-Slav, Slav, Meran, anything like that actually, which can be transposed, because it's pretty decent opening in my opinion. Anyways, so in this position, after black playing a6, black would like to go for c5 on the next move, open up the files. This bishop will be a killer along this diagonal, and long story short, black focuses on the queen side mostly. But Kasparov has a bit different plans. Breaks through immediately with e4. Planning to go with e5. Black doesn't have enough time to slow down and go with bishop e7, because after e5, when the knight jumps on d5, knight takes and pawn takes, typically this pawn structure looks really horrible. That's a different story if these bishops are off from the board, but because this bishop is still over there, is blocked by its own pawn, and white has an amazing one on d3, it's not recommended to try this at home. So, after e4, black responds with c5, breaks through immediately, which is one of the main theoretical line nowadays. I've tried it with both colors, actually. After d5, c4, this is a typical pawn sacrifice. E takes d5 is not really the best thing what you can do due to e5, and many things will fall apart in short order. Anyways, after c5, d5, c4 attacks the bishop. Bishop goes back, queen c7, and knight d4 was played. The chess.com's computer thinks that it's a mistake. It actually is not. It's one of the theoretical line. But the most common clearly is to take the pawn on e6, well, when black responds by capturing it back with the f-pawn. Even though this pawn on e6 is a bit weakened, black has a decent counterplay after putting the bishop on d6, going for short castle. These bishops will be really amazing. Majority on the queen side, 3 versus 2. All these can lead to quite sharp positions later on. After bishop c2, queen c7, knight d4 was played, knight c5, simply protecting it, and b4. If not b4 and white allows black to make long castle on the next move, then along this d file there will be a lot of issues for white. So, after knight c5, b4, right on time, c takes, pawn takes back, and Kramnik goes with b4. Typically, it's not recommended to go for this kind of moves if you need more than one move to make the castle. For instance, bishop e7 followed by short castle. It becomes obvious that long castle definitely is not the way right here, because I guess white can deliver mate in short order at some point.
Yeah, boy.
So, after b4, you should be really afraid of making these moves unless you know the opening theory into the depth, because there is a huge probability that your opponent will break through in the center, create some counterplay, and you will regret your life choices. Maybe you might even regret start playing chess. It's up to you. So after knight a4, knight takes c4, bishop takes, knight takes, d takes e6. Looks dangerous, but black has everything under control. Bishop goes on d6. If black pulls it off, then this knight will be completely out of shape. d4 knight looks more or less okay, but these monstrous bishops will create some damage to enemy's king. E takes f7, queen takes back, which leads to f3. And this is the first critical moment of the game. If black retreats and plays knight f6, if you have seen the previous videos, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You always get to that life decision that should you go for active play, but it might include some sacrifices and taking risks, or play more or less passively and your opponent might have a chance to equalize it. At that time, make sure you have enough amount of time on the clock, you're capable of calculating this far, and you have a strong feeling that you feel it that it has to be the right move to go, and you have a lot of options into the attack. For that details, a bit later I will have some special videos recorded for that. Anyways, after f3, Kramnik didn't intend to move the knight backwards, because it will lead to rook e1 check and it might be a bit annoying, and he goes for a knight sacrifice. Queen h5, first brilliant move. Thing is that f takes e4 is not something that you should even consider seriously, because after queen h2 check, king comes on f2, there will be short castle. This king is not going to survive. Black will be happy to grab the pawn on g2 on the very next move, and do you really think that white will be fine after these two monstrous bishops? These rooks will be into the action, queen, plus black will be sacrificing a piece for 2 pawns? No way. So, after queen h5, white plays g3, logical move to protect checkmate on h2, short castle. Kramnik doesn't care that the knight is hanging on e4. Computer says that it's a mistake, but from human point of view, I think it's just a great move. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe the channel, because whenever we reach 10,000 subscribers, there will be a free giveaway video courses from my website. Anyways, Kasparov here took the knight, and Kramnik goes with queen h3. This position looks very difficult for a human to play. The threat is to capture the pawn on g3, and after the pawn trades, this king stays alone. There is bishop e4 coming next, and it is quite unclear how white can finish the development properly and keep things protected. After queen h3, white has played knight c3, which is a blunder. Instead of knight f3, the best move would have been to play queen e2. More or less try to keep everything under control. It looks strange, I know, but actually there are no real sacrifices for black. In case of rook f1, queen f1, and white would be happy to trade off the pieces, of course, and the most logical option would be to grab the pawn on g3. Probably Kasparov calculated after h takes g3 there is queen g3, and in case of queen g2, there will be rook f1, king takes there, and this king actually can survive for long, especially the queen actually, there will be rook f2 and black wins the game on spot. But there is a catch. After this sequence of the moves, h takes is losing. But what Kasparov has missed is knight f5. Not so easy move to spot indeed. It blocks the f-file, attacks the bishop, and neutralizes the threat of bishop takes h2. The real threat is to grab the bishop on g3 on the very next move, so black has to do something about it, and if the bishop retreats, on e5 for instance, it will lead to bishop b2. White temporarily blocked all the possibilities, whatever black had, so white can play for win later on. Anyways, Kasparov missed it and played knight f3. Looks logical cause keeps some stuff protected. Bishop takes g3. The second brilliant move. Do you find it suspicious or not yet? After bishop g3, knight c5 was played. H takes g3 would lead to a losing position due to queen g3. There is a check, and if king goes on h1, there is bishop e4, attacking this f3 by all forces, and white can call it a day. After bishop g3, white has played knight c5. Tries to gain a tempo by attacking the bishop on b7. Can you spot the third brilliant move of the game? Rook takes f. But if white doesn't capture the rook, what is white gonna do? Queen h2 is coming. Black already managed to get the material balance back, even has an extra pawn, so white had to react quickly. Anyways, rook f3 was played in the game, queen h2, and king goes on f1. This position looks very strange. What can you do as black? If you try queen h1, the bishop is hanging by the way on b7. King e2, maybe you can try another check, but all of a sudden this king has a very safe spot on e3. Don't forget the fact that white is after rook, and if one misclick or some move, it's gonna be over very soon. Anyways, after king f1, can you spot the right move for black? It's bishop c6. Black just ignores everything, moves the bishop out of danger, and wants to play bishop b5. There's not a single thing white can do about it. Bishop g5 was bishop b5 check, knight d3, and rook e8. Kramnik doesn't even care about this knight. Bishop g5 was a good move actually, stopping this rook d8 ideas. You just want to grab the pawn on e4 and go after the king. Because after that there will be queen h1. White has an extra rook, but everything is pinned and it's almost impossible to do anything. Anyways, rook a2 was played. It's offering to give up the rook back, but the thing is that after this move, if queen takes on a2, there is rook g3. And white would love to trade off this completely useless rook on a1 into a very active bishop on g3. Anyways, after rook a2, actually Kramnik missed checkmate in 4 moves. But I will not mention the details. Let me know in the comments what Kramnik was supposed to play. He went for logical human move queen h1. King goes on e2. I assume he had low time at this point. Unfortunately, I don't have any information about that. Rook takes e4, king d2, queen g2 check. King has to go back, and queen takes a2. He just won the rook, and after rook g3, like in the previous position when white's king was standing on g1 and felt like white was still up a piece, now black has this queen a1 check, king comes up on c2, queen c3, goes back, and rook d1. Attacks the knight, can't be moved due to rook d1. Black is going to take the knight on the next move, will have 3 extra pawns, plus this king is not going to survive for long term, and Kasparov decided that he has seen enough and simply resigned. And here is the bonus question. Can you spot the winning move for black? Let me know in the comment section down below.